Well, that didn't transition well. I'll have to work on that actually. Turning the music off for you for a little bit instead of abruptly. But good morning, everybody. I am doing my stuff this morning, and I thought I would say hi. I hope the volume's okay. We're just doing sort of a crummy little, pick up on a phone kind of thing. Not my best, not my worst. There we go. Let's see if that's the volume. But I had a really good response to my video about language. I think that seems to be the thing that most interests people, actually. I do a lot of things because I work in a realm, trained in a realm, across a couple things because it didn't exist when I was first going to university. The things that we do now were only just beginning to occur, right? And that is one of the ableist and other human rights sort of ableist language, ism language that people use. They think that, if you don't have a degree in something or it's not a job title, and job titles have gotten so specific. I'm like, what, operations isn't UX? Oh, you need to be a UX designer in order to talk about UX at all, uh, user experience on software. And I go, I was in university the year UX, the word was invented, and I was on the phone call where Don Norman invented the word. What degree was I going to take? And am I a worse UX designer if I've taken all of the IXD, the human interaction design in psychology, computer science, and linguistics, and I put them together into how we actually react to words and pages on the screen? What's going on that's not as good as having a job title? And I go, anybody can have a job title. AI can have a job title. But what about the people who actually invent things, actually create things? And the fact that this was told to me several years ago by a uh, female presenting person who's about my age, probably a bit older, but she was just like, you don't have that on your resume. You can't talk about yourself unless you have that on your resume. Like, lady, that didn't exist at the time. So, so people have become really interested in talking about the language of things, and that's fabulous. My channel goes into my personal stories, it goes into other people's personal stories, but I've started to go, well, what do people actually want to hear about? What intrigues the most? And some of my shorts that are about language in children or language in adults and how to reprocess that language. And I do it at a really, 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 like, I attempt to try to do psycholinguistics, which is literally psychology and therapy through a linguistic model. The idea that our words change our brains. And that seems to be sort of the pickup right now that people are interested in. I know they like to hear about the other stories and the things going on and medical stuff, but that kind of whole thread of the language that we use inside ourselves and that people have used with us. And I'm not going to be a psychology channel that talks all about um, the inner child work and stuff like that. There are other great creators. You can go out there and find out about your personality, about your attachment style, all of that. But the language itself, I think, isn't out there. The words that people use. So I'm live today. I'm just on my phone being silly. I am streaming to a couple of places, got a couple of viewers. I don't care if it's one person. I don't even mind if there's zero. I have talked to zero people a lot, and I love that because, as I put up in my most recent video, I'm talking to the individual. I know it's about numbers on YouTube, but it's literally about, that's not my metaphor. That's not my metaphor. I'm not monetized. I don't mind if I ever am. That's not my goal. I want a historical record. I'm there to put this information out for everybody. And I'd love to talk about questions from people. I have a couple of points. I got my 3 points that I'll talk about regardless of if anybody's just listening in the background or popping in and out. But if you want to chat and say hi, on my lives. I haven't been here for a while because I have been sick. I have been in a flare that has been so bad. It is the worst flare I have had in nearly a decade. And coming out of a flare is a uniquely chronic illness thing, especially when it is overwhelmingly physical and mental at the same time. And I'm going to do a reaction video soon to Physics Girl, who just came out with their long COVID, literally just came out with long COVID information and with their video about what occurred in the last little while about, and they have the same stuff. Like it's literally like finally, I mean, I'm so sorry it happened to them, but I'm so glad they spoke up and put these specific words on the screen that are the same as mine and a lot of other people. So that concept of what words should we use with kids, because we were never told them ourselves as kids, if you're older or if you're younger, what words can you use yourself? The phrases that we don't have. We're trained in the North American culture of movies and stuff like that to be mean girls, right? To hold it in and then to like sort of explode. And we hear example of like, oh, you shouldn't have done that, or that. Like that voice is constant. I'm really glad that my kids hear that voice, but they do it sarcastically. They're like, "Oh, it was just a joke. Like I threw you over a fence, but it was just a joke. I tripped you, but it was just a joke." Like they actually make fun of someone like smashes a glass, and they go, "It was just a joke." Like they're actually sarcastically going after that kind of concept. So yeah. I thought I'd come here and talk about some of the things that you can do to sort of really change stuff. And the first one that I wanted to talk about was active listening. What do you do when you don't know what to say? And it is okay. There is a kitty at my door. And I have never had a cat. And I don't know why I haven't. I've never had a cat. I've never wanted a cat because I'm allergic to everything. But apparently we're babysitting a cat that had a rough life. He's similar to us. He's got missing paw. He's disabled. He has chronic illness. He's a bit weird. And he is perfect for our misfit toys in our family. So I thought I would do my makeup. It's kind of nice to also talk about, I'll do it in a separate one, but the things that I can use that I'm not allergic to. Mast cell activation really, really, really sucks. It is allergies on steroid, but you're not allergic to the outside world. You're allergic to your own brain. Your brain just it's like diabetes for the allergy system, right? So instead of being, oh, I can process all the sugar I eat and I deal with it, diabetics have to, think about the load, the amount of stuff going on to their body because their pancreas is not working. Well, in mast cell activation, your hypothalamus is doing the same thing, basically. It's like diabetes of the hypothalamus, and it's going, oh my God, I can't deal with this. Too much information, too many allergens, too much stuff, too much food, too many things. And so I'll send out allergic responses. And that's why I have what they call chronic spontaneous urticaria. And it's actually interesting because it means that makeup's really hard because on my cheeks, that's one of the reasons I have the butterfly rash. The so-called, it can be for lupus, it can be other things, but it's really, so I have both olive skin, a weird skin tone for olive skin. I have warm skin and cool toned underneath, but like I have so much pink that I have to, So the best thing in the whole world that I'm not allergic to is green. If you can't make makeup work for you, and if you want to, nobody has to wear makeup, any gender, male, gals, pals, or, non-binary pals, anybody who wants to wear makeup can wear makeup. If you're a cis-presenting male and you just want to wear like great concealer, go for it. The things that really matter in our language are first just the skills that we have to listen and inside ourselves to not be hurt by that. That's what I just want to yammer about for a little bit today. And I'm realizing this is not a new concept, but I'm realizing how much it gets into people their whole youth and childhood, even if they don't identify as having a particularly bad childhood. But I'm realizing how much even just an ignoring, it not occurring, can be damaging to the human brain as it grows. We think of, bad things that happen to us as explosive, as someone hurting, as someone pushing, as someone shoving, as someone yelling, as someone, but we rarely think about how bad it can be that nothing happens. And there are some really early experiments where unfortunately they had infants who had been in circumstances that they were neglected completely, like just left. They weren't, they didn't speak, they didn't make eye contact because their bodies hadn't developed to do that. And that changes you for the whole life. But even if you, nothing, just like a regular, like I just grew up in a regular North American household. But here's the thing. Were you allowed to have your emotions? Even if your family, your adults, weren't good at it, did they shut you down? Or did they just let you have it? Or was it, no, we never talk about it? Doing nothing is a decision too, in psychology. In computer science, if you're nerdy, then zero, one, and many is what you always look at data sets. Is there zero thing there? Is there one thing there? Or is there lots of stuff there? But there's also the empty set, like just it hasn't been filled in. There's nothing in there. Like it's literally not even, empty. And zero and empty are some of the most dangerous things we can do to our brain when it comes to language. If we don't have a way to speak, most of us then don't have a way to think. And that means that most of us don't have a way to connect. And connection and love are not, oh, with all the movies and all the things that say what love is. I am talking about the core love, just human to human, the kind of thing that should be an adult to a child, and then is friends to friends, people to people, where you just, someone in your world, I don't mean relationships, I just mean like, hey, are you okay being a human mammal today? Are you allowed to just sit beside? Do you have, and did you have someone in your early years you could sit beside and you just like leaned in and they said, it's okay to be how you feel right now? Did you have someone who would go, you can tell me and I'll just listen. I won't react. Thanks for telling me. No? And you were neglected. That's just the simple truth. You could have had the kindest adults. This is just a sunscreen, and luckily, it is a sunscreen that is literally tinted the exact color I can use. So that's none of this is sponsored. This is just stuff I buy, and I tend to buy it on sale, or I tend to buy it at like secondhand or not secondhand. No, like discount places. Places you just get the end of stock because I'm not that picky. I don't care if it's like, yeah, it's. So, but not like old or expired or anything, just places you can get some, buy a box of it or that kind of stuff. Or I go to sales in the city, in the big city that I'm near. I'm near Toronto in Ontario, Canada. So I'm between, if you're American and don't know where that is, I'm between Detroit and Buffalo, but on the other side of the lake from Cleveland. So I kind of live in the Cleveland of Canada, if that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, that's a good way of saying it. The city that's outside the big cities, that's kind of a city that people know about, but not really, but it's famous for other stuff. Yeah, that's where I live. So I'm really glad to get. I go to the big city and I buy things at warehouses because it's a great place to get things. I am cheap. I'm efficient. There are some things you should buy secondhand all the time. So the language of somebody listening to you, are you able to do that for somebody else too? So I wanted to ask people, what's the language that gets them stuck or that gets them unstuck? When you sit with someone and you want to share your emotions, do you remember people reacting right away to them, or do you remember anyone just listening to it? Even if they were awkward and didn't know what to do. Like, even if you're often male presenting, right? Like, often dad, in a lot of situations, because, you know, males, guys are not in North American culture are just supposed to be like, hey, I don't know. They don't get a lot of airtime, but even if they just sort of sat beside you and went, yeah, you can tell me, it's okay. Did you have someone that said, I would like to hear what you say? And they go, yeah, okay, sure. Just having people to sit around with and chat is fundamental to the human biology. Like, I'm not talking love, like relationships. I'm talking like the thing that evolved us from being, 10, 100,000 years ago. We were kept alive and grew. Like, we grew the systems of love and care and companionship because it kept us alive. And life is good. Life by itself is good. And we have an epidemic of people who don't think they should be here, or they don't deserve it, or they're hurting people by even being here, or and why is that? Why are so many people so hurt inside? And why are there so many people who think, they go, ugh, those people are hurting me, so I just get to do anything I want. I just get to, yell at them. I just get to hit them. I just get to. Why is that happening? Well, it's always happened. That's some of the answer. People are constantly going, they forget that that's happened in all of history. And actually, the current era is no worse than it's ever been. Life has always been rough. Life has always been, it's a mammal evolutionary fight and work and yell, and all of that has happened through all of human existence. But what is new and what is striking to me is that we also live in the best time in history. And that's demonstrable. That is literally something we can say is true. It's demonstratable. We know that the things that we have access to, where we have words for being neurodiverse, we have words for being queer, we have words for being LGBTQ, we have words, I just say Q plus for all of them to contract all of we got lots of letters and then I shove them back down to Q. Some people that works, some people it doesn't, but we're starting to learn new language about that. And you can reach out on the internet and be safe on a Discord server, or, I mean, you can be dangerous on a Roblox server, but you can also find a friend. You can also find somebody who's like you. You can also find that connection, which without the internet, I was a void. I couldn't find those things when I was growing up. When I grew up with chronic illness, I was alone, completely alone. I think I went to like one thing as a teenager that I could go and speak the words. I could go say, hey, I have CFS and FMS, which is the diagnosis at the time was chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia syndrome. And I was really lucky to get that diagnosis because people my age weren't getting it. One, it was brand new in the 90s. That's how old that diagnosis is. And in that era, in the 90s, having chronic fatigue syndrome was still called, do you remember this? Have you heard about it places? The yuppie flu. It was something that only rich women got because they didn't want to do stuff. How's that for ableist language, huh? Um, Maybe the people who presented with the same illness and didn't have resources and money time to take care of themselves got really freaking sick, and you saw them in hospitals as having allergic reactions. And the people who died young of it, unfortunately, we were seeing things like, people were people were having veins that burst. So Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and its related trifecta of concerns is you only saw the worst things. Just like when we learned about like heart disease or diabetes, you saw the kids who were, diabetics. They saw the kids who were in comas. Yeah, that's how type 1 diabetes first presented in children before insulin. Those kids were in comas. And then we found insulin, and then we sort of did that, and we got them out of comas, and we figured out how to give it to them a little bit by needle, and then kind of the next thing, and then we're like, wait a minute, some people are having this, but their pancreas still works, but they're not doing, oh, like type 2 diabetes. Like, right? It's the same thing. It's like we only see the worst cases. So CFS and FMS, as well as ME, um, myalgia encephalometris, which is a fancy word, which sounds like you're dying of an infection, which is really just a word for all of your tissues hurt. It's fibromyalgia syndrome in another guise kind of thing. It's the British version of it. Like, all of those words mattered to me, and I had to gain all of those words through the years. I had to figure it out. It was brand new. Just like at the beginning, I was talking about how like I got slagged once because I misrepresented myself as having UX experience, even though I don't have that job title. Yeah, I only have a degree in the core things that like go into interaction design, and therefore I can teach UX. But I don't have a UX degree or job title because I never did that job because it didn't exist then. And that's the same with the things I use. My diagnosis, I would have just been sick as heck, and I probably, well, right? I'd be one of those people who was either stuck at home doing knitting. I mean, I also don't have glasses. If I go back 500 years or 1,000 years, right? If I had the same eyes, I would literally just be stuck at home, like doing like stitching or something, because I couldn't go out and run around. It wouldn't be safe for me because I'm basically nearly blind. So we don't think of that, right? Like, would they have said, oh my gosh, are you an introvert? Or are you somebody who doesn't know how to do stuff? Or would I have just assumed that like I can't see anything? And people are like, well, she's blind of some sort. Her vision has been cast upon as a veil of gauze. So me having chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia syndrome in my youth was brand spanking new. And luckily, I had a doctor at the time who was nice enough to know what it was. So he was in a university hospital, and he was smart enough to know this new diagnosis and the things about it. But he was also respected enough at the university hospital that people didn't go, oh my God, you're diagnosing that? Like, that's the yuppie flu. No, he said, this is a real thing. It's got real pains and real problems, and it's really happening. And that was one of the good experiences I had with doctors, and the whole situation was the very first doctor who diagnosed me, and at least I had something for the first, I don't know, 20 years of my life that had words, could be gone, could go to the hospital with it, could go to something. It wasn't taken seriously, and I was treated, let's just say, like absolute crap a lot of the time. But I was, oh, and I still am. Oh, I got to get into hospital horror stories. That'll be fun soon. We should do that one. Won't that be fun? No, no, it won't be fun, but let's do it anyways. You know, let's do it anyways. There. Now I'm a painted fool. I don't usually do this, but I'm just feeling the underpaintings. Underpainting soul. I put on makeup not because I think you have to look good, or that I care what anybody else thinks I look like, but because it's fun. It's like painting. And I used to paint in my youth, and the acrylics and stuff bug me now, and I don't want to invest more money in it. And this I can do right here. I can play with it. I can goof off, and there you go. It's me. So it's a painting experience. Don't let anyone let you have the metaphor of you can't go outside without makeup, or you look gross because you do wear makeup, or that's only for the other gender, or there are more than two. Fight me. You don't know science. In this channel, everything science is not what you thought you heard from someone in a textbook 30 years ago. I'm sorry, I'm done with that. I am protecting the youth, whoever they are, whether they identify as whether they're old or young, The people who are trying to change their language and understand new things, everybody else, trolls be deleted, or I go and I hang out with them, and for kids especially, I like to go and troll the troll. Get myself some thank you so much for making the algorithm better. You want to say horrible things? Great. I bet you're going to say this next because it's so obvious what you're going to say. And that taking on bullying is a lot of what helped me find this language for what was going on with neglect of language with young people. Um, in particular, the shout out to being old as a Gen Xer. I'm the classic, like, parents out there were taught not to say anything. Like, people my age, in their youths, we were taught, don't say anything, mean girls rule, none of that. It's all like Grease. Like, it was, I mean, yes, it was years and years, years later than that movie, but it was the same crap, different pile, Like, that's all it is. It's just about being cool. It's just about being wonderful. There was none of that, like, nerds be wonderful. We didn't have any of that. I only got that once I was 19 in university, and because I came to a super nerdy university, and I had parents who were super nerds. And we couldn't call ourselves nerds at the time. We were just like, being a dork or a nerd was what you got, like, pushed into a locker, kind of. Think that kind of, stupid thing, right? Um, there was none of this example of how to speak to people. And I think that, people go, well, why are you saying it's the best time in history? And yet we've lost the thread of how to, like, where did it go? Who stopped talking like this? It's a learned skill. Language is a learned skill, just like bicycles and just like reading. If everyone in your entire culture, like, if you were on a doomed place, on Lost or whatever, and you went enough centuries that no one read, then people wouldn't know how to read. Full stop. Could you learn it? Yeah, it's well within our capacity. Could you invent it again? Sure. But it's learned. Now, is it instinctual? Also, yes. The we are we have enough brain power that we want, as conscious people who can have thought, we want to write that thought. We want to document that thought, right? We want it to be known. And so it is integral to the human experience. It is, like, written right down in our genes that we want to connect. And first we want to connect by touch. Then we want to connect by vocalizations, right? And then we want language. And then we want to make that language go down. And over history, we had more people around us. That's where the language went. Oh gosh, was there violence? Was there yelling? Was there abuse? Absolutely. And did those people have struggles inside mentally? And yeah, they did. We think of them as just sort of generic, like, well, they must not have been traumatized the way we are, like, or people just sucked it up in the past. No, they didn't. No, no, we have writings from ancient Rome and pyramids that are like, and the visions came and they took my vision and I couldn't see anything but the past over and over and over again. And I woke screaming that this occurred again. Yeah, that's PTSD, dude. Has this always existed in the history of the human species? Uh-huh. Since we evolved it, it's been there. And we know the processes in the brain that evolve that kind of thing. And they've been there for a very long time. And all of those other people have had this. And the thing we're missing is that we don't grow up in a village. We don't grow up in a group. We don't grow up in a tribe. For those of us who identify as Indigenous or of a culture that uses that word, we don't grow up amongst. We don't grow up amongst the people we should have, which is, well, frankly, the old ladies. Old ladies are here on purpose. Our words were held in old ladies. Old ladies had more time. They were cooking, they were doing the thing, they were hanging out. They weren't actively birthing anymore, but they knew how to do it and they hung out. And it's where knowledge was stored in humans. It was stored in us, and language was stored in it, and the language of care and comfort and relaxation was stored in our aunties and our babakas, our babas. And we learned it from the next woman. And the next woman learned it from the next woman. And if her mother was a bit of a whatever, then we could run and go to the next person and go, I'm being yelled at. And we could find something else. And that's not to say that everybody had that good. No, of course they didn't. Just like there are as many millions of lives now, there were that many millions of lives then. But we shared more good too. So I do say lost. And I've looked at it linguistically. It's not my main research phenomenon, but it is one of them that I have researched a lot about how the language of active listening in other cultures and times. And not many people have looked for that, only a few psychologists, but I've been trying to do it as well as English studies of linguistics itself, because that's my main area is language, because I like to talk. Yeah, have you noticed? So we've had viewers pop on and off. If you got any questions, or if you just want to say hi, you don't have to. You could just say hi. You could say what you're dealing with. I make this a safe spot for anybody. If you're an adult who's watching, if you're a kid, you can. I welcome you all, actually. So, but no personal information. If you want a shout out, I do those too on my lives. I shout out to kids channels and small creators and people who do great art and stuff like that. Just because I got nothing invested in this. I just literally want to connect with people. I would like people to believe that they are allowed to say the things they want to feel. And if we do not, if we're not allowed to say the things that we feel and think, and our fears, our griefs, our base, like if we don't have somebody who starts when we're very young, who holds us when we're scared, says it's okay to be scared, it'll be over soon. It's okay, but not you're okay. How's that? That's one of those ones that's ableist or neglectful. It will be okay is very different sentence than you're fine. What did you hear? I'm going to sit with you until you stop crying is very different than stop crying. You need to stop crying. I'll give you something to cry about. What the hell? Tell me as an adult that you don't know how to deal with your own emotions. All of those things you may have heard from people, that's their inability to deal with their emotions. They're confessing. You'll be fine. They're confessing they can't handle their discomfort at you. And what do? They pass on that discomfort. Your younger self has to be told, don't bring it up. I'm the one dealing with something more. I don't have time to listen to you right now. I have spent with my 4 children, I've spent their entire childhoods running around too much, being sick constantly. There have been periods where they only see me in bed. Like I go out to work, I come back, I'm basically in bed after dinner, and that's it. And we eat dinner, like in bed or whatever. But the one thing I've always done is that every single time my kids have said, I need you to listen, even if I'm just lying there, I say, I'm listening. And I will listen without reacting. And I don't mean that I won't say anything. I just mean like overreacting, right? I can listen to you right now and I can just hear what you're saying. And what they call it in active listening or in CBT, like in some therapies you may have heard of Inquirer, you may have heard of the newspaper reporter, you might have heard of pretend you're an alien, explain it to an alien. Explain it to a 5-year-old is also a really good phrase. But the thing is that we don't even know how to explain it to a 5-year-old, do we? I'll have people, especially other parents, the other adult, the spouse, who says, "Why are you talking to me like a child?" And someone will go, "I'm not talking childish. I'm talking childlike. I'm using the same techniques I use with my children, which are positive and healthy. I'm saying, hey, uh, tell me what's going on. It sounds like you're frustrated. Are you sad? Tell me more about that." And I do it like a newspaper reporter. And people think that's childish. Why? Because is that talking down? But saying you'll never amount to anything. That's not childish to do to a teenager or a young kid. On the adult part, I mean, that tells me that the adult is the childish one. They never had a way, they were never allowed to access their emotions. They were shut down. And at the larger scale, this is called vacancy abuse, literally. You can get into really, where a kid is never allowed to speak up. They're never allowed to exist. They just have to be small. They just have to disappear. There is no space for them, and they are adultified. They have to take care of their adults. It is not worse to neglect a child to that extent, or a partner, or a spouse. But it is as bad as harming someone through violence, I believe. I believe that silent treatments, pretending someone is dead to you, shunning them, looking through them, walking through them. You need to move if you're not here anymore. You're not welcome. In a way that is not a boundary, it's a complete shutdown of a person who's just trying to say. That is violence. It is the same amount bad as physically striking someone because you are altering the inside voice of what they think it's okay. And if this happens over and over and over in someone's life, they are told over and over and over that they are not allowed to speak, that every time they do try to speak up and say something, someone yells or someone walks away in a huff. You always say that, or you never spoke up. What happens? Those people begin to hate themselves. Or, alternately, the pendulum swings and they believe that's the only way it can be. Usually, when they're younger, they start to get the idea that they hate themselves and then they shove that down. Where do you think midlife crisis has come from, partly? They shove that down and they say, what's the point? It doesn't work, anyways. Women don't make any sense. They always say the same thing. It's just ridiculous no matter what, you know? Put that as my thumbnail and get a bunch of creeps. But if you're a creep, well, welcome. Try hitting on me. You can practice being told nicely not to. I'm already taken. And even if I wasn't, dating on the internet's not a thing to do. You can compliment me, though. Again, another language problem we have. We have a problem with speaking up and saying whatever, and we don't know when to speak. And then those who feel like they can just railroad over somebody and say anything they want, like Mean Girls, can do that. And those that can't speak up don't speak up. The culture is shifting. I am so glad. Oh my gosh, there was we were watching Studio C. It's a cartoon, not a cartoon, sorry, a comedy club on YouTube that literally does like, oh my God, you're such dorks. And they're like, oh my God, thank you. We are. Like, you're so not cool. I know, right? Like, we're such nerds. Like, oh my God, we're gonna go and do like crafts now. And they're like, you can't come to my party because like you're not invited on Friday. Good, because like we have a LARP to go to, and like we don't want to go to your party. Um, and I love that. I'm like rejection of the bullying by going, that's not a bad thing. And if you've been hanging out with some of my videos, you know that I love to anti-bully the bully. Oh, I'm fat. Why, thank you. You noticed. Oh my God, you took notice of me. Look at the, look at my lipids. I am a fat, ugly old lady. Yeah, you're right. I'm pretty average. Like, I'm kind of, I got some green going on there. I guess Marine Call. Oh yeah, absolutely. Ugly old lady. Old. Oh my God, I'm so old. Oh, thanks for telling me everything you're worried about. Are you worried about being, oh, like skinny is the only good? Okay, so you just told me what your weakness is. And like ugly, like you're worried that everybody vets you on how you look and you're just like not allowed to be human today and just like exist in my skin. And I'm old. Oh my God. We must stay young forever. I don't know how, but we're not allowed to age. We should be pure as the driven snow. We must not at all ever, ever, ever. Oh my gosh. Just never have corporeal form and die when you're 23. No, thank you. I want to be old and ugly and reading books when I'm 100. I want to be able to do all the things. Don't you want to be old? Ugly? I want to be old and ugly. At the age of 14, I thought that I was not going to live very long. I spent a year in bed like physics girl. Um, a year solid. I was asleep. I was actually asleep for, I remember it, for 6 months. 3 months in a hospital, 3 months at home, and then up to daily things. Gaming Martian says, not a creep, ma'am. Oh, well, thank you for calling me ma'am. Does that make me feel old? Yes. Isn't it wonderful? I mean, some people like ma'am, some people don't, right? I take it as the, polite service kind of ma'am. Like, but why not? Even if I am, like, call me a madame, call me mom, call me an old lady. I have lots of international students when I was a professor, and I they call people mum, and I go, you are saying it like the queen, like you are respectful of, yes, mum, is mum. And I go, that is not the same thing as ma'am, which is the only way we use it. Oh, hi, Ben. Listening before you started your makeup. Oh, like this morning, you mean? I think I've seen Game and Martian. Have you popped in and out and stuff? And yeah, you're a listener to do the things and do the stuff. That's good. I like a good immersion. You identify as a Martian. Awesome. Maybe that's just your handle. Maybe you just picked it from somewhere. Maybe you just maybe you identify as neurospicy or anything like that. I love it. Be a Martian and learn things new. Do you know? I love a meme. I have autistic family members, and there was this thing about like autistic people can't communicate. And I go, did you give them time? Because like when lots of outies like ADHD, autism, whatever, like they're communicating online themselves or they're talking. Those people be damn better at it than most people. They be the ones doing it. And I go, maybe you're just like, no, they can't speed up with your smooth sales, mean girl bullying. You're right. You're right. My child does have a problem keeping up with your bullying. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. He does. You know why? Not because he doesn't understand it, but partly because he doesn't wanna, and partly because he doesn't, like it's what is with that? Why do we think that like why do we make the person who has language differences do all the work? Why don't the normal people do it? Why don't the normals do it? Because they don't want to. That's the point. It's ableism. It is like those things where it's like, well, that autistic person needs to learn more skills. You're saying you're the average brained person who's an adult, like a teacher or a whatever, and they're learning and struggling, so you're going to make them do twice as much work rather than say, you're going to model it, you're going to do it, you're going to do all that extra work. Man, with my kids on the autism spectrum, I have just had so much language that was bad. And my first teacher, I mean, I have English degrees. I can give you fries and onion rings with that. I have 2 English degrees. So like you can have frings, you can get a side onion, like I can upgrade that because my degrees are worthless, right? They do nothing. They do nothing for, say, designing computer systems. They do nothing for the language that works on UI, like on thing. They nothing for psychology. Nothing for the entire understanding of the human species. No, language isn't integral. Nope, it's just things we wrote down. Oh my gosh, languages studies are so just treated as crap when really I think of them as the underpinning of all humanity. The language that we use for kids is just gross. That baby is lazy. My toddler is manipulating me. Okay, if you think your toddler is manipulating you, you got a bunch of things wrong. One of them is that babies can't do that. That in order to manipulate someone, you have to have your mental state consciously thought of, and then you have to have their mental state consciously thought of, and then you have to assume that your response like this would make them do this. So you actually have to hold at least 4 mental states. The toddler's lying on the floor screaming about the purple cup because the toddler doesn't have any brains to say, I want the purple cup, and screaming is the only thing I know how to do. And I think toddlers are irritating as heck. Oh my God, are they ever? They're just. But there's a difference between going, oh my God, you're so loud. Oh, we're going to calm things down here. Than there is to, you can't yell. Stop it. Has that ever stopped anybody ever in their entire life? Like, have you ever calmed down when someone went, calm down? Or does that tell you that they can't calm down about you being sad? That tells you they don't have the skills. Every insult is a confession. Everything someone who's not on your side says it tells you about them, not you. You're too short. So you're saying you worry about that? I don't. You're too tall. Are you saying that doesn't make me pretty? Your boobs are too big. Well, 2, not one, not your place. 2, where do you get to decide that how I look to you says anything about me? And that my body was something I picked or designed and not just like, or something I could even do anything about. That's also ableism. That's being able to believe that you can. Did you come out of the womb and design yourself? I don't remember. I don't remember doing an avatar. I don't remember losing. I've lost in my lifetime. I have lost more weight than I am, and I've never done it through stupid things. I've always done it through health, and it has always come back when I have been bedridden. Have you ever been bedridden? Do you know what it's like to not even be able to do anything while you're bedridden? Like, I don't mean nothing. I mean, you know how they say, like, oh, well, you could read a book. Nope, couldn't do it. Was too sick. I was in that blurry state that most people might know about. Like, they've had a fever and they just kind of lie there and they go, I'm not asleep, I'm not awake, but like, I just have 104-degree fever. Now do that for 6 months, a year, 2 years, years. Physics girl just did 2 years of that. I did a year. I did fully asleep for 6 months, 23 hours a day asleep, 1 hour in a fog where I could kind of go, yeah, I'll eat. Just sit up for a second. I believe that it's an alpha delta wave sleep disturbance. You never get restorative sleep, ever. But the body doesn't know how to live, but the body doesn't know how to stop either. You just get enough sleep to exist. It's a semi-catatonic state. And it is emotional, language, brain, personality, the words you say about yourself. It is literal hell. No burning. If a demon jumped into my body and said, I will cause you eternal pain, I'm pretty sure I'd be like, Tuesday. And they'd be like, what's the old joke? Oh my God, what is this? What is this? What's all this pain I'm feeling? And they would leave. I would have devils jump out because of the level of crap I deal with. So quite the opposite of not being competent. I'm doing 8 things at once. I'm dealing with my body. I'm dealing with discomfort. I'm dealing with how my knee feels right now. I'm always in pain, even when I'm happy and clappy like this. It never, ever goes below a 6. And when people ask me where the pain is, I go, that's the point. With chronic illness, it is everywhere. We don't have those words in doctors either. And that's ableism too. Point to the pain. That assumes it's acute pain somewhere and not. Every fascia hurts. Every piece of my tissues wrapped around my muscles hurts. It is being like, imagine wrapping one wrap of cling film, plastic wrap, glad wrap, whatever you call it in your English area. Put a piece of plastic film over your arm. Feels weird, doable. Now wrap it again. Like, it gets sweaty, but you could kind of deal with it. It'd just be irritating, right? Now wrap it 30, 40 times. Now, keep going. Do the entire arm. Do from here to here. Would that be pain? Would it be painful if you wrapped your entire arm in plastic wrap, cling film or whatever, for 50, 60 times? Where's the pain? Everywhere. You're just being shut down. You're just being stopped. And I think the thread that's going to be really most interesting to me is the idea that, because I'm running in the adults that I work with and have in my life, that I can't even help them by modeling good language. That used to be the whole way of doing it in CBT and psycholinguistics. Catch your thoughts and then replace them with good ones. But if you don't know what they are and they've never been there, you don't believe them. How do you start to believe them? Because it's been 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 years of it. There is no other metaphor. And when I say, I'll cry with you because I want to show you what it's like to be okay and safe when you cry, some people, many people who had neglect or heartache or hurt will think to themselves, oh, but if she cries at me, then imagine what she's holding back. If she just yells at me for one sentence and then controls herself, I assume that, I mean, from my youth, like, that means that teacher hates me. And it's fine just being controlled, right? That little lash out. We're trained to the little, well, you never talked to me before. I mean, we're not, no, oh, everything's fine again. That little flash, that little thing where you say, this hurts me, that you said you were hurting or sad. Not only does it block you from that person because you have to stay safe from them, stay keep peace, keep safety, keep them out, keep them out. When someone cries with you, you go, oh my God, there must be more. And you block yourself from the exit. It's a fire in front of the fire escape. The fire alarm keeps going off, and it's right in front of the door. So you can't go towards the pain because it's too loud. It's like that's the only ladder out of the building, and I have to run, and the alarm gets louder and louder and louder because that person who's secure or attached or loving or caring has too many emotions. They're trying to show you theirs, but now it's dangerous. And so the only way to heal it is to start over from scratch with neutral. And it's hard to do and it's hard to find. And you need to find someone that it's not about therapeutic models. It can be, it doesn't have to be. It's not about the things they do, the skill set they have, how long they've practiced. It could be, not always. The thing that you should look for in a listener, in a therapist, in a crisis line, in a friend, in a guy you go to basketball with, someone who just kind of listens. And that's why I've actually become a fan of a lot of guy chat. People are down on guy chat. I used to play basketball, did a lot of guy chat. I learned grunting. I had 3 brothers. I can grunt with the best of them. And you know what? The difference is whether the grunt is supportive or not. If you got a guy friend and you're like, we don't talk about emotions, but yeah, does he go, yeah, I had a like crummy day. Yeah, I know. Do you feel more supported by that than therapy sometimes? Because what's that? That's just listening. Yeah. Who in your life just goes, wow, must have been hard to tell me that. Dude, Fub. Oh yeah, no. I got it. Who listens and accepts what you said, doesn't process it, doesn't make you do something about it, doesn't demand that they feel better for it. They can just let it in. Find them, whatever they talk like, whoever they are. If you're trying to find words because you feel like I hurt people when I talk, or I'm not good enough, or I'm the one who shouldn't be here, you're probably most likely to be the caring, empathetic person who needs to break out of that shell. You probably have a wonderful, incredibly caring, calm, quiet, you don't have to be quiet like me. I mean, the inner self. You got this part of you that's like, I don't think it's supposed to be this way, but every time I try, I make it worse. Then find the person that it doesn't make it worse, that they know how to pause. And that's how you ask. If you're looking for somebody you want to say a little bit more, you say, are they capable of pausing for you? Can you listen to something I say and just not respond? I just want you to hear it, and I just want you to say it back to me. Newspaper reporter. Guy friend, hey, dude, can I tell you something? Like, I just wanna say it. Like, you don't gotta do nothing. Meh, meh. Those can be some of the most supportive people out there. Find a listener who can be neutral to it, who can just hear, who can stop and hear. That is safety and peace. They could be loud, they could cry a lot, they could be annoying, but there is safety and peace in them somewhere. They are the one who can do it. It doesn't matter what it looks like, doesn't matter what language it is, it doesn't have to be psycho. I'm a fan of functional psychology. I don't like therapy's great, but like sometimes it's 1 hour of whatever. Whereas like the most supportive friend in the park you skateboard with, or someone you can just walk to a movie and do nothing, and then you go, man, you know? But they have boundaries. You're not allowed to say, well, she's a whatever. And they go, dude, don't insult people. Just, you broke up. It's fine. Just don't. Just let it go. That's not great advice, but it's okay advice. You know what I mean? Like, find the person that just has some boundaries but still listens. And what do you do when it's no one in your circle? Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Gaming immersion. Thanks. Um, oh, I can put that up on my phone. Cool. And that is why what I was saying about we used to grow up with people around, right? There used to be lots of them. We had an auntie, we had a whatever. And that is why I am absolutely a fan of the internets. I'm absolutely a fan of support groups. I'm absolutely a fan of phone lines. You know, kids help phone, good to talk, whatever's in your area. There are anxiety groups online now. There are so many things you can go to and do, but like your Discord server with your gaming buddies, um, they are sometimes the most helpful people out there. Just watch for the ones that are, oh, well, you should go and whatever. Like, that's giving, are they going to make up stupid or other advice, or you should just hate them, or, oh, yeah, it sucks. Listen for that person. The person that can agree with you, but not because they have the same experience. They don't have to feel the same way. Um, they can just hear your emotions. They're like, "Oh no, I hate cats, but I'm sad your cat died for you. Like, I know how much you love the man." Like they're not codependent. That's codependency in a nutshell. That single sentence. Oh, I hate cats, but man, I see how sad you are about your cat dying. Like, dude, that was your. I get it. I get it for you. Like, I mean, I don't get it, but like, I get it for you. Person who can say it sucks. Person who can just grunt and go, "You're allowed to have that emotion right now." And the person who says, "I don't even necessarily feel that, but like, I get it for you." Those are the three. Look for that person anywhere. Discord server, school, university, work. And don't tell them everything, but ask to be listened to just a little bit. Hey, do you mind if I just like tell you a couple sentences about what I'm going through at lunch? Like, I just want to tell somebody. So I say it out loud. It doesn't have to be big. I feel like I'm not allowed to say that I'm sad about that. Oh, dude, you should be allowed to say that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're allowed to be sad. I get it. Like, at work. We're at work, we're professionals. It doesn't mean we're not sad about your cat. Whatever, right? Like, even a sentence can really change it. There's more to it, of course, but it starts it. I used to be the all-in person. I used to be the like, and it's therapy and it's stuff, and that works for me and people like me who want to jump in and change it all. But I'm a bleeding edge adopter. I always have been, always will be. Even as an old lady, I'm like that. Get me the newest. Get me a new thing. Start a new system. Do a whatever. I'm like, no, people ain't like that. Not everybody. I get lots of other people too. So yeah, find them. Find the person who listens. And parasocial relationships are okay with that as long as you don't go attach some sort of huge amount to that. Like even things like this, where you're like, hey, I want to send in a question and have you talk about it. Does that make us friends who know each other? No, no. But therapy is a parasocial relationship. And so if YouTubers or TikToks or Discord or whatever like you're hanging out on, or for the olds, Facebook or your gardening group or your Scrabble group, if there's somebody you feel like you can just say a little bit more, say one more sentence. And if there's nobody there, then take a journal, piece of paper, notebook, one note, whatever, but have something that's got like 2 pages, like iCloud, 2 notes or whatever, like something that's facing pages wherever it is, electronic or not. And write to yourself. Be your own listener for a little bit. Just practice it if you can't find somebody else. Write it all down, type it all out, put it away for a second, go do something else for a while, and then read the journal bit again as a newspaper reporter, as if that's a piece of text that you're learning. Just go like, okay, so I said that I don't feel like I'm enough. What does that mean? Like, that I shouldn't exist? Should I not? And try to hear yourself neutral. Try not to just hear the thoughts outside. Like, so I'm feeling anxious about all this. Do I feel anxious because I'm actually worried about the situation, or because I always feel anxious? And then just thank yourself for saying it. Don't debate it. Don't fight about your journal to yourself. Like, oh my God, you're right. Just go, that's how I feel today. I'm glad I said it to myself. I'm allowed to say that. I mean, if you want to look in a mirror and say, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn people like me, like like Saturday Night Live, you're welcome to. But I strive as much as possible for some of the banal things. I call it the guy standard. I mean, that's only one sort of huge generalization of people, right? But like, just the guy who's grew up in a standard North American school, and had to date but didn't have, you weren't allowed to be friends with girls after a while or whatever. And I mean, and regardless of gender, but just that kind of meme, right? Like just trope, I guess, right? Like, of just, whatever, football bully, whatever. Um, Incels have become jerks in the US, especially. I'm Canadian, but same kind of thing, but not quite. Um, but that tells me who has the power. Another set of power. Like, whatever somebody's afraid, something that they're afraid of tells me what the opposite is, right? They're confessing too. So like the maggots and stuff like that, they are who could change things towards them. Other gamer guys online who are red pill, but like, not the kind where that tries to turn you into an alpha chad, but the one where you go, it is so damn freaking masculine to be a nerd who plays D&D and D and talks to girls and says, yeah, it's okay to, yeah, you're allowed to feel sad. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't have to feel bad about it. It's just, we're trained to not feel sad. We're trained not to feel grief. You have to stop that. That just puts, it just puts another layer. Now it's being bad to people. Now it's making other people sad. You're hurting other people. Your emotions don't hurt people. Your words, your actual content of it could. But the fact that you're sad about it itself shouldn't hurt people, because you're allowed to have them and the other person then has theirs. What you're saying might make me sad, but you didn't cause it. It's not direct. It's not, see what you made me do. No, see what you were unable to stop yourself, and you were the adult and I was the child. I was the one with less skill and you couldn't stop yourself from being a jerk. How was I supposed to? How was I supposed to? And that's the arrow of vulnerability, which I'll cover more. That's the direction of vulnerability. Younger, smaller, more vulnerable, always goes first. And when you're equals, you have to take turns. Imagine what a whole new generation of people would look like if the world said, huh, that sucks. I'll sit with you for a bit, man. You wanna finish our burritos after the game? You don't have to be sad. It's okay. You wanna look at, I'll look at the pictures, sure. Yeah, it's fine. It's good. I don't mind. I mean, fucking hate cats. But like, I see you're sad, man. Find a person, online or off. Find them anywhere. Do the thing. You know, find a person who will help. Smallest thing, regardless of your language style, regardless of who you are. But we are missing that connection. Find a village, whatever it looks like for you, even if it's just one more person. Oh no. I think that's about my time for being a fat, ugly old lady on the internet. I want to get. I did my recent video. I had a super cape. I'm like, invisible girl, invisible disability girl strikes again. I'm like, I need the fat, ugly old lady. I got to get my whole like shtick. I should just go like, yeah, absolutely. Fat, ugly old lady has an opinion. You bet your butt. You know why? Because if you think she's a fat, ugly old lady, then that's what you are afraid of. I think some of the best people in the world, there's a little like you can tell who they are in a crowd because they're like, oh, I didn't mind hanging out with younger kids. I don't mind hanging out with old ladies. I mean, I don't want to like for real, but like like when you're at like the the lunch you had to go to as a kid or the community event, you're like, they're just adults. They're just some adults that got old. I don't I don't want to hang out with them on a party, but like, I'll sit there, right? That blind leading the blind, that children raising themselves is unique. It is unique in this time and space. So break it. Find somebody a different age. Find somebody a different place. Find a different thing. Keep yourself safe. But I mean, my 12-year-old knows more about being safe on the internet than God, most boomer and Gen Xers. Oh my God, I think I'll just give them my middle name and my address. I'm like, that doesn't mean they don't know some of the things that people like they don't know about, but the basics, the idea that you just block and delete, the idea that friends aren't friends because they're on Facebook. No. Find your listeners. Reach out for resources. If you're in the US, there are great phone lines that aren't even for crisis. People think of them as suicide lines. And if you need that, you call. For anybody. But there are great ones that are just for, I think Kids Help Phone, literally in the Canada and US goes up to like, they'll take a call from 25-year-olds and stuff like that. Like they're like, if you're like a college kid first time, whatever, that kind of thing. And then like if you feel like you're a young adult headed out, like, and there are teen ones, if you're attached to any college and universities, all of them, state colleges and community colleges in Canada, universities in both US and Canada, all have like a good to talk for students, some sort of phone line or chat line that's not emergency. It's just like, dude, I'm going through it. Um, so connect to whatever the source is in your life. Ask ask your buddies, ask your school, ask your work. If you're working, ask if there's a employee program there's usually a couple counseling things, but often there's other stuff they can like navigate for you and get you like, oh yeah, there's this group in town that like chats about stuff and makes you, just makes you feel listened to about stuff. And when in doubt, I mean, I know it can be expensive, but there's now lots of virtual options, sliding scale, and a lot of it can be out of state, out of province, because it's allowed to be for different, depending on if it's not psychotherapy. There's a lot of counselors, including myself, who do virtual all around the world. I mean, I did counseling in Guam the other day. I mean, to Guam, you know what I mean? And I wake up at 4 a.m. like, like I've done international. There are lots of people in your area who are career counselors and stuff like that who would listen about other stuff. I've known a lot of tutors who will listen to more people. Like they're like, yeah, it's for chemistry, but like I just work on like I'm feeling stressed about stuff. Um, Often they'll chat about things. Go looking for listeners. Doesn't even matter what it's about. You'll feel better if you got somebody to listen to you. And when in doubt, find the nearest online chat for a support group for a crisis or for just a mental health support. Yes, 988 in North America now, 911 for emergencies, 988 for mental health emergencies. But it doesn't have to be an emergency for you to call. Everyone worries, just like with 911. But if you've even thought about it because you're like, I'm just having a panic attack, I'm not suicidal. Well, don't you deserve support for panic attack? Oh, that's ableist language too. It has to be bad enough. No, it doesn't. You're allowed to be up to here on just like talking to people about crap and saying you're fine, or about like not being able to fall asleep well. Like if you're full, it doesn't matter if it's worse than somebody else. That's another way that people push off their discomfort, but then it becomes emotional neglect. I'm going to do more How to Talk So Kids Will Listen next time on my live. I like to read little chunks of that, just enough to say it, but not to copyright it. Fair use of just a little bit of it. And I'm going to be reading my book soon. It hasn't been illustrated, but the text is out. And it's going to be illustrated soon and published soon. And it's a primer in a Dr. Seuss style of gaslighting. And I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe it becomes a series. Because I'm like, Dr. Seuss psychology for regular dang people. It's just really short. I'm thinking of doing some bathroom readers too. I love long form because I talk a lot, but people just need bathroom readers of like, this is what it is. Here's an example. Here's what is a good thing. Like How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, but like for adults, like for people. Like I don't have a kid. I'm not parenting. I just want to do for myself. I just want to know. So I'm gonna head out. Thanks for hanging out with me on the chat, Gaming Martian, and thank you to the other people who popped in and out, chat or not, or sent me messages in other places because I got a few other streams and stuff. I really appreciate it, and if nothing else, if one person found it helpful, there you go. And if more people come back to it, then the words got out and they're sitting there somewhere on the interwebs for someone to find. And I will be back with regular content. New video going up. One premiered yesterday, and another one will be up next week. I'm hoping to get back to a more regular schedule. So, I'm Maria. I'm Little Miss Diagnosed. Have yourself the day you deserve. And if you don't think you deserve that much, you probably deserve more. And the people who don't think they deserve it all, yeah, they probably deserve the day they should get. Or one. That's another topic for another day.